50 WTKA. The Ticket. We've heard from the players, coaches, and broadcasters. Now it's time to hear from you. This is your show, the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA. The Ticket. Now here's your host, Ira Weintraub.
That's right. We are live inside the Ann Arbor studios of Sports Talk 1050 WTK. The Ticket. The Michigan Wolverines vanquish for the second year in a row the Ohio State Buckeyes 45-23. And for the second year in a row, the Michigan Wolverines are heading to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game. For the second year in a row, the Michigan Wolverines are going to take us down there so we can head on down to the Slippery Noodle in Indianapolis for a pregame party next week on Saturday. We are ready to party. I know, Miz, you say party like it's 2000, the first Michigan victory down in Columbus since 2000, but we're going to party also like it was 2021 because we're going back to Indianapolis like we did last year. And by the way, some messages for some Buckeyes. Ryan Day, he's still stranded on third base. The Buckeyes, oh wait, there will be no Buckeyes in the chat. I wish they'd come back now. Where are the Buckeyes that were in the chat from earlier? Are they coming back now? I don't think they're coming back. And I don't think Zach Smith's going to say anything more about our beloved Sam Webb anymore after that game.
At all. I'm coming.
After that game, we've got the audio Sam. The video Sam is coming momentarily. Sam,
I'm coming. Don't worry.
You have never been on one of these kind of, I've only had one of these in the past, really, to be honest, but this kind of a Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up show. We had an amazing time last year after a home victory over Ohio State to celebrate where we are heading now. But this time it's a road game, and so we needed to bring a little extra atmosphere. So you're coming in studio. We got the whole Webb clan is here in studio with us.
That's right.
And we are here for the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Retirement Income Solutions. To find out how Retirement Income Solutions can help and preserve your wealth, help grow and preserve your wealth, visit them at risadvisory.com. That's risadvisory.com. And there is so much to get to on this show. We have our offensive plays of the game. Yes, you heard plural, brought to you by Bud Light. We have the drives of the game, brought to you by Brighton Ford, plural. You're right. There's more than one. We have the gems of the game. That's right. There's more than one. It's brought to you by Lewis Jewelers. And the defensive plays of the game. Yes, more than one. Brought to you by the Reed Law Group, because it was that kind of game. And of course, we will get to the key players of the game and a whole lot more, including some of the MichiganInsider.com team down in Columbus as we recap Michigan's 45-23 victory over Ohio State. And Sam, here we go, back to Indianapolis. He's working on his video.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. It's. I also have to have hotels booked at the same time.
All right, so
here we go. I'm coming in the room.
I got to tell you, Sam's voice is kind of funny because, Sam, we watch home games in the press box and we're all quiet and we're getting composed. I don't know what it was like in your house with a lot of people. I watched the game literally with two dogs. And the dogs, they got into it a little bit because I was getting into it, and we will have by Monday probably is no voice. And then by Saturday, we will be ready to go once again with the KeyBank countdown to kickoff down in Indianapolis. But we're here to talk about the Michigan victory. It was a little bit of a slow start, right? A tussle back and forth.
Send me the 6-digit code.
Oh my God.
A tussle on the, I got it for him, is a tussle.
Okay.
A tussle on the throughout the first half of the game as we fly through this live on the air. This is a unique. It's a unique way to go. It's okay. It's unique. That's how we roll here on the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show. But the first half, right, back and forth, kind of feeling each other out. Ohio State. But Sam, I thought of you actually throughout the game because I thought of you because analogies and things that you and I talk about a lot on the show. And what I realized is that in the first half of the game, Ohio State hit Michigan with their best shot. That's really what it was, right? Ohio State hit Michigan in the first half with their best shot. And in the third quarter, it's like that scene in Rocky when they go, is he getting tired? And Paulie goes, no, he's not getting tired. He's getting angry. And that was Michigan in the third quarter, a little bit of rope-a-dope. And then they came out in the third quarter and they steamrolled Ohio State in the second half. Michigan gave up 3 points in the second half to the vaunted, world famous all other Gus Johnson exclamation things about the Ohio State offense, they scored exactly 3 points in the second half, while the Michigan Wolverines scored 28. So let's let that be known, and let's discuss that throughout the show here as well. And I know I've seen a lot of comments coming through on the chat. A lot of people were annoyed by Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. We're not going to let that bother us tonight. We're here to celebrate a 45-23 evisceration of the Ohio State Buckeyes, because they came in confident. They were feeling pretty good about themselves. They might have been feeling pretty good about themselves at halftime, thinking, you know what? If we just don't give up a couple big plays, we are big in this game. They're probably feeling themselves pretty good at halftime. But I don't know about you, Michigan fans, but I thought back to pretty much every single game of this season, and even back to the Ohio State game last year. But I thought about every single game this season, and I thought about how Michigan fans were, or how Michigan was when it came to second half adjustments. They've been terrific all season long in second half adjustments. And there are a few fans out there, and I know I even got some that said that they're cooking up their crow during the post-game show, because I had some messages at halftime. People were not very happy. For this reason, that reason, honestly, it doesn't even matter, because we try to tell you all the time here on the show and on the station. Football is a 60-minute game. For 30 minutes, Ohio State gave Michigan all they can handle. They gave them their best shot. And what did Michigan have, Sam, at the half? Like 10 yards of rushing, I think it was. Michigan
10 yards, yeah.
Michigan finished the game with 252 yards rushing in this contest. They had 10 yards at the half. 10 yards at the half. Michigan flat out dominated the second half of this football game. The end really that's what it's all about. And we can say that, I don't know, maybe the rivalry is back, not just on its rightful axis, but even more so, the rivalry is fully turned and pulled back to Ann Arbor, because coming up in 364 days, those Buckeyes are 363, whatever it is. Those Buckeyes are coming up here for the next time, and they're going to have to play here again, and they're going to try to snap that streak, because tomorrow, Miz,
there we go.
It will be 1,093 days.
There we go.
And that number is going to count to over 1,400 by the time it's all said and done. Over 1,400, 500 days when all is said and done since the last time
people?
Ohio State
he has arrived.
That's right. What's up, people? How you doing? Hey, Buckeyes. Was it too sunny out there? Was it just too sunny? I mean, was it still not warm enough for you? I'm trying to figure out all the excuses. Now, I tried to give y'all some lessons earlier this week. Remember I told y'all defense wasn't as good as Illinois? You remember that? And y'all said, scam Webb, and saying we aren't as good as Illinois. Now what you think? Remember when I said that his defense, that Jim Knowles' defense wasn't as complex as Ryan Walters? Now what do you think? See, you too busy listening to that dude who's on parole. He's on parole right now. Why are you listening to a parolee? Listen to me. Don't listen to a parolee. I'm trying to help y'all out. I said Ohio State is not a physically complex football team. They are physical up front. They don't have a physical scheme. Didn't say they weren't good. Didn't say they didn't have talent. They have both. They're good. Michigan's better. Here is the lesson that you should learn. Listen to me. If you want to go talk and you want to go listen to my guy, he's my guy. I'm trying to help him out. If you want to go listen to old boy, what's his name up there at Ohio State? Zach Smith. Only thing you listen to Zach Smith about, I told y'all already. What did I say?
Cover his ears.
What did I say?
We have a minor in the room. Cover his ears.
See, you want to know about football, listen to me. If you want to know about dildos and PPOs, go listen to Zach Smith. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to help y'all out. My man's getting sex toys at the building. You wonder why he's out of work?
Freaky Dicky.
He is freaky deaky. I'm just saying. That's why he's out of work. If it was Vivid Video, he could have a job. If it was Excalibur VOD, he'd be straight.
Freaky Dicky.
But we're talking football. Don't listen to Zach Smith. All right? I'm just saying. I mean, am I lying? Y'all hear any lies? There are no lies. I'm telling y'all the truth. Maybe if Jim Knowles had listened to me, his defense might have had some answers in the second half. See, y'all too busy shouting down Scam Webb. Scam Webb was giving y'all the cheat code, right? So next time, just don't bite the hand that feeds you. I was feeding y'all some information, giving it to you for free. You didn't have to pay for it. Next time, accept a charity. And then you won't be out on the street like y'all are right now. I'm trying to be generous. I'm trying to be gracious and victory. This is me gracious in victory, right? To Buckeyes anyway. Only the Buckeyes. This is how I am to Buckeyes. So Buckeyes, Ryan Day, he fired his boy. What did I tell y'all when he fired his boy Al Washington? Didn't I say that wasn't the problem? See, Al was torn up about leaving Michigan. He's like, man, I don't know. And, it's so good at Michigan, but that's my guy. That's my man. Ryan's my guy, right? What happened when Ryan Day hired Kerry Combs, who hasn't coached defense in his life? And he gave him the job at Ohio State. And he said, all I got to do is roll the football out. Then Michigan bust that ass. And it's like, all right, now I got to do something different, right? And he fired all his guys, even his boy, Al Washington, and went to the Big 12. Went to the Big 12 where they haven't played defense in 20 years and brought him in to Ohio State and thought that was going to fix it and got his ass whooped worse. You got your ass whooped worse at home. Somebody walked up in your house, raided your fridge, slept in your bed, crapped in your toilet, and didn't even flush.
Hey, Miss, I know it's long, but you gotta get the whole thing typed up for the. Man. That whole thing gets typed up for the wall,
man.
Save it.
More paper
Mark
for
the
that.
Mark it. 5:25 Eastern time. Mark the time. I need it. Mark it down for me.
I'm telling the truth. Am I telling the truth? That's what Michigan did to y'all.
And the congregation says,
how did you get your ass whooped worse at home? That's demoralizing. You made all these changes and it got worse. Who you gonna fire now, Ryan? Who you gonna fire now? I'm just saying. Come on, man.
He's 11-1 in back-to-back years, and he's on a hot seat.
It's amazing. It's amazing. See, now we tried. What did we say about Michigan? See, I would like to think that I know a little bit about football, a little bit more now that I've been working with Al and Vance and Devin. I'm saying all week. Listen. All you got to do is let JJ be a ball player. I even had Michigan fans say, what you talking about? You high, Sam. You high. I wasn't high. I knew what I was talking about because at the end of the day, with Blake being limited and by the way, Donovan Edwards.
Dog.
We need to come up with a new comparison. I say he's pulling Willis Reed. Willis Reed didn't play like that on one leg. I know he had two legs, but
he actually didn't play well in the game.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And Donovan went out there and ran it up your behind. That dude with one hand can't even hold the football in one arm.
Just for the record, maybe his last carry was the 85. Anyway, his longest.
I thought you were more physical, Ohio State.
He had 85 on one carry.
You were more physical, Ohio State. You made all these changes. We're more physical. We're better. You got the ass stomped.
For a half, Sam. For a half, they were. They gave him their best shot.
If you listen to Joel Klatt,
they had 30 minutes to give.
And I was disappointed.
Gus and Joel are terrible.
I was disappointed in Gus. Because if you listen to Gus and Joel I kind of get. But Gus, no, you know better, Gus.
What up,
Gus, you're from the D. I know you're national, you got to play it both ways. But if Michigan is getting stoned in the first half, right, and their best player is down, Blake Corum is out of the game. And you say the reason they're not having any rushing success is because Ohio State's defense is tougher. Come on, man. How bad does that look now? This is easy analysis. Noah could give better analysis than that.
He did. Noah was in here earlier.
Not rocket science.
Noah wasn't providing analysis earlier. Noah was giving a better second half game plan than Ryan Day.
Yeah, it was clear. You saw some gaping holes on the second drive that were left wide open. That if Blake is in the game, he's still running. Those big runs you saw Donovan popping off in the first half or in the second half were there in the first half. All right, and credit to Donovan for being able to stay in the game long enough to be able to exploit them. But the name of the game was number 9. And we were talking about, you got to trust the young fella. You got to let him eat. You got to let him cook. You got to let him eat. They finally did. What did I say? Play action shots, right? Play action shot plays. What did they do? Play action shot plays. Ohio State had no answer. I said, if they can stop the run, because Michigan is limited, they're weak in the secondary too. Zach Smith said, scam Webb. Scam Webb was preaching to you. You should have listened to Scam Webb. I'm just saying. Dildos and PPOs. Is he on parole? I think he's still on parole. Don't listen to a parolee. Listen to me. I'm trying to help y'all out. Now, Michigan fans, we saw a legacy start tonight with J.J. McCarthy. The legend of J.J. McCarthy began today. And I think you finally saw what we all have been talking about, right? That at the end of the day, when all else fails, whether it's running the football, which he made some key plays, some key runs, and throwing that thing down the field, that this is an absolute ball player. And he had to make some big throws in this contest against a challenged secondary. And he did just that. He did just that. Again, they did the best they could. I mean, Ryan Day made all the changes he could make. And thank you very much. Appreciate it, Steve. Thank you. I'm kind of parched here. And this will help me.
Now that you've been on the
oh boy, I don't know that I can drink this live on the air, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Now that you've been on your crab beer tour, you're good.
I'm gonna do it anyway. So JJ McCarthy, they were disrespecting Michigan's personal space. We're talking about the first touchdown. Let me take you through it. 0 blitz, right? 0 blitz. We're up in the faces of the receivers on the outside. We have no respect for your ability to throw it down the football field. Against a lesser man, that might have flummoxed the young fella, but it didn't. He understood exactly what to do. Take the snap, recognize the blitz before the snap, retreat, buy yourself some time until your receiver comes open on the outside, throw it to him and let your guy make a play. That's exactly what he did. Remember we talked last week about Maryland and how much they were getting open, how often they were getting open against this booty secondary. I almost cussed on air. Against this booty secondary, right? And you see what Michigan did to him today?
Watch your profanity.
Listen to your boy next time. Listen to your boy. Hey, Buckeyes. You feel like you got your money's worth? You get your money's worth. Did Ryan Day get his money's worth? I'm just saying. So Blake Corum didn't play. Mike Morris didn't play. So you had the best player for Michigan on offense out, the best player for Michigan on defense out, and you still got whooped like that? Like that? I would feel pretty inadequate if I was you. I mean, you would need the football version of Mount Everest. Y'all need to go get some Mount Everest down there. For y'all don't know what Mount Everest is. It's like the Ric Flair version of Viagra of Cialis. Woo! Y'all need some of that in Columbus by the truckload. Woo! Because it was pretty weak. The response, it was pretty weak. Dare I say, limp the response in the second half. It was. Need some help. They have medication for that. I'm just saying. Maybe it's hiring another coach. I mean, he fired the whole defense. What you gonna do now? When you fire everybody, who else can you fire?
He's gonna try.
Somebody help me out,
Sam. You know he's gonna try to hire Illinois' DC.
Hey, people, the people want to talk too. Oh, by the way, I got my family here. Let me put my family on. My wife who is around here, my wife tries to muzzle me, and she tries to tell me to be quiet. Do y'all want me to be quiet? Am I telling the truth today? Yeah. I'm telling the truth. Yeah. They called me out. They talked about scam Webb this and scam Webb that. I wasn't going on Buckeye airwaves talking trash. I wasn't showing up on Buckeye podcasts. I wasn't saying Zach Smith's name. I was merely making an observation about how excellent the Illinois defense is and how challenged the Ohio State defense is. I wasn't even disrespectful about it. But he said that they can't do what Illinois does. Was I right? Who did better against Michigan defensively? Steve Clark. Did Illinois do better? Or did Ohio State do better? I think you got to help them out because they're a little challenged.
Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois. They can't spell it, but they can say it, right? That's our Ohio State people. So we got to get our people down in Columbus. All right, Josh, we're about to call you. About to put you on the mic. I'm gonna send you the link right now. All right, sending you the link right now. We got people down in Columbus. This is what we're gonna do. Because we got to get some radio business done in here as well. Yes, we do. I'm sorry. I forgot I was on the radio.
This is the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show live from the Ann Arbor studios of Sports Talk 1050 WTKA. The Ticket. Steve Clark is now here. The whole Webb crew is here. Greg Dooley's in the house.
Yeah.
This is how we roll. Yeah. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back on the other side with more of the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA. The Ticket.
Put her on the radio.
Right. We're going to keep it coming. Greg.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Clear on the radio.
We're going to keep it coming. That's right. Thank you very much. I'm telling all kinds of truths here.
I'm trying to get the air right here.
My ride.
All right, let me.
Working on it.
Honey, I'm not going to get fired. I promise. I promise I'm not going to get fired.
Sam, I don't know if I can find the message in here.
Not today, at least.
There was one, I wanted to highlight this one message in particular.
Dude, Sam, you got to give it to him. Are you kidding? That's the worst outcome for Laos.
I know
that's possible.
I can't find the post.
Guys, I got some lines when you're ready.
But
So
TF says something about Sam's wife has to be a saint, and she's right here, and yes, she is a saint.
That's true.
All right.
How are you guys doing?
Hey, Will Heineken said you spin some truths. They hurt sometimes. I'm just saying. Let me send Alejandro.
Now, did all those Buckeye haters come back on the live?
No.
There are no Buckeyes in the chat.
Buckeyes
Where
to be
are the
found.
Buckeyes now?
Yeah, they were busy.
So last year they blamed weather and the flu and whatever. This year Michigan's best player plays 2 carries.
The monkeypox got them. We had 6 guys out basically.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I mean Morris and Corum. Come on, the Heisman Trophy winner out. Unbelievable.
Hope everybody out there is having fun.
Yes, folks. Hey, enjoy it.
We will be at the Slippery Noodle this coming Saturday. No, I guess
That's right.
Next Saturday night for the Key Bank Countdown to kick off before the Big Ten Championship game. It was a lot of fun last year. It's going to be even better this year.
I don't see any Buckeyes anywhere.
There will be no Buckeyes in the chat.
Miz, where are the Buckeyes?
They're still stranded on third
Where
base.
they at, though?
The Buckeyes are stranded on third base.
Oh, interesting.
The Buckeyes are on third base.
Time to go home.
Yeah, they're still stuck there. They're going to be stuck there a long time. They're going to be there a long time.
Yeah, man.
For those that are concerned, that are curious about what's going to happen for Michigan's opponent in the Big Ten championship game, 6:06 to go in the third quarter, and Hayden Clark's Boilermakers are up 16-7.
Look at Josh Newkirk down there in Columbus.
It could be for the second year in a row a Clark Bowl.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten championship game, and Hayden will have the shortest drive to get there.
Right.
Don't forget Mikey Saints Row, man.
Oh, there were so many good plays.
Yeah.
There were so many good plays.
He played a game and made good tackles.
At some point, we're going to get to our plays of the game. I'm not sure how or when, but we're going to get to them.
I think it's this
and that Mad Magician's on third down, the throw. That was great.
Shady, I hear you. I mean, as somebody who has to cover the Big Ten and all the teams out there, hear what the other people have to say about you 24/7. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring that up. I mean, Bucknuts, 11 Warriors. I mean, I would love to be listening to it now because I got to pay for it listening to during the week.
Ryan Day. Oh. The tables have turned.
Hey man,
we got to get Lou Costello saying third base, like the Abbott Costello routine. Who's on first? Third base. You know,
it's in the Miz, pull it up. It's on page 2, I think. Yeah, bottom right.
Third base.
And the one right above it's good too, because you know who the name of the player on third base is?
Third base.
Yes, I don't know who plays third base.
Josh is ready, right, guys? Josh
no,
is ready.
Alejandro is ready.
Alejandro
is ready.
Yes, sir. Hey, Alejandro,
What's up, guys?
You're more important right now. You get to go first, okay?
All right. Well, I think we're all on it.
All right, we're back in about 15 seconds on radio, so stand by. This is the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show brought to you by Retirement Income Solutions. To find out how RIS can help grow and preserve your wealth, visit them at risadvisory.com. That's risadvisory.com. And we are here in a very celebratory Ann Arbor studios of Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, the ticket following Michigan's 45-23 victory over Ohio State. Michigan winners of the Big Ten East heading to the Big Ten championship game. And joining us right now on the field of the Horseshoe, and I see no Buckeyes there either, Sam.
What happened?
Alejandro Zuniga's all.
What happened?
He's actually all by himself because I see there are other Michigan people down there, but no Buckeyes. Where are the Buckeyes, Alejandro?
I don't know where the Buckeyes all went. At some point, at about 5 minutes left in the game, I started seeing a lot of empty seats and not a lot of people. I'm not quite sure what happened. I'll have to check the news. Maybe there was some sort of event. I don't know. Maybe there was like a like tractor pull in town. Not sure what happened, but they are no longer here.
All right, so you got a great video after the game. For those that are listening that maybe didn't see the video that you posted from right after the game that maybe took place right in the middle of the field, why don't you tell everybody what you witnessed?
There were a lot of videos, man. I'm not quite sure which one you were referring to. The one that stood out to me, though, was Michael Barrett. I'm not sure if that's the one you're referring to there. But
planting the flag.
Planting the flag. We'll go with that one. All right. I mean, hey, it ended up with Michael Barrett carrying the flag. So he ended up carrying the flag, but it was Mikey Sainristil. We just talked to him in the post-game press conference. He said he has been thinking about this moment and doing that since January. He said even last year he was thinking about the fans rushing the field at Michigan Stadium after Michigan beat Ohio State. He dreamed it. It happened. This year it was all the way back in January when we beat Ohio State. He said, I will take the flag and I will try to plant it at the 50-yard line. And I don't know if he succeeded. It's field turf, but he tried. And yeah, the message was sent loud and clear, right? The Ohio State could not stop Michigan on the field, whether it was the football game or whether it was the flag going into the turf. I think the turf maybe put up more of a fight than the Ohio State defense in the second half, Sam.
Ooh. Hey, listen, man, we saw Sean Clifford throw for nearly 400 yards on his team. We saw Maryland throw for over 300 last week. And people just assumed that Michigan was incapable of taking advantage of that. They just hadn't called that in games and like they needed to, but they were forced to today. And that was one of the things that we talked about. And when they needed it, it was there. And the play that put them on their heels, so you could see the momentum sort of sapping out of the entire stadium when JJ on that zero blitz backs out of it, buys enough time, hits Cornelius Johnson, he rumbles off to the races. You could see him leaning. And then when they hit the play action shot on the post, Alejandro, they knew it was going to be a long day.
They knew, and we were talking to Mike Barrett. Second video I had, by the way, was Mike Barrett. He was just a bundle of joy with that flag, running around, waving the flag in front of the Michigan crowd, in front of the Ohio State crowd, what was left of them. But we talked to him post-game as well, and what he said was on the Michigan sidelines, they could look across the field, and when Michigan scored that touchdown to go up by 2 scores early in the fourth quarter, they saw Ohio State's will seeping out of them. So I know there was a lot of conversation last year about toughness, about Michigan being the tougher team in the trenches, wearing them down late. This year, everything Ohio State did seems like it was the same story because the Michigan players said, we looked to the other sideline and we could see them hanging their heads. And we knew at the start of the fourth quarter that they were weak, they were faltering, and we could win this game. So it was those early shots, those shots that maybe didn't feel like they could be replicated, with the deep shot to Cornelius Johnson, with him breaking a tackle, with getting so wide open and finally hitting them. But really, it was that first score to go up by double digits that broke their hearts.
Yeah, I want to get some chat in on the defense really quickly because I know they expected, with the weather being what it was, that these are track meet conditions. This is C.J. Stroud's Heisman moment. That's what Joel Klatt and Reggie Bush and all the Fox crew was saying. This was C.J. Stroud's day, and I was like, please, God, please, football guys, don't let this man go out here and ball out. Don't put him in a position for the Lions to take him. We do not want C.J. Stroud. Please, Lions, Holmes, please do not draft C.J. Stroud. This man he doesn't just get bothered, he gets rattled. We don't need rattled quarterbacks in Detroit. But this is what happened today. They thought it was going to be a cakewalk, and you give Jesse Minter credit, Alejandro, mixing in some blitz pressure, but really mixing up the looks. Because what I saw quite often, even when the pressure didn't get there, he couldn't find anyone in the secondary. He looked confused out there, and I thought that was a big key to Michigan's success today.
Hey, that's exactly right. And in part, it's the same story from last year, right? Is you give CJ Stroud time, you give CJ Stroud an easy read, and he will pick you apart any day of the week. If that's Sundays, it'll be on Sundays. He made some throws. There was one in the first half on a corner route that he fit that into a window I could not see. I did not see that window exist. He made some throws and he made some plays, and he is a very good quarterback. But the fact remains, and Michigan proved it last year, they proved it again this year, is you get pressure on him. There was a Mozzie rush in the first half up the middle. You get pressure on him. You make him move his feet. He does not want to run. He can run. He does not want to run the ball, and he is athletic enough to do it. I don't know why he doesn't. He does not want to run the ball. He gets skittish on his feet and he misses throws. And he did that today. I thought he played a pretty good game. I don't understand necessarily why Ohio State moves away from the run as quickly as they do. I think Ohio State fans would ask the same thing of their offense. But Michigan has an identity. They stick to that identity. And when it comes to the third and fourth quarters, you see the results of that identity. Michigan defensively made its adjustments. Mike Sainer still made a heck of a play. I was standing right there in the corner of the end zone. I thought that was a touchdown for sure. I did not think he would be able to catch up to that ball and break it up. But they called all the right shots. They brought Khalil Mullings back to running back and had him throw a pass. I mean, I would not have ever seen that coming. They've had that play. They said today they had that play dialed up last year. They've had that play in the playbook since last season. It was a Blake Corum pass that they were going to run last season. They had it called. Ohio State had a safety deep, so they didn't actually run it in the game last year. So they saved it for this year, and they said, "Hey, we don't have Blake Corum possibly. We've got Donovan Edwards who has a cast on his hand. Hey, Khalil, let's see if you can throw it." And he could. I mean, it's just Michigan has its identity, and let me tell you, game plan was fantastic, and it worked. I mean, I'm shocked. Well, I did not see this coming. I am shocked.
Well, here's what I have to say as we let Alejandro go. We're going to bring Zach and Josh Newkirk on right now. Look, you had this reputation of being a go-getter, but you also had a reputation of being kind of a bad luck guy for Michigan. But you made your debut with us last year in the Big Ten Championship, right? You've been here a year. You're going back to the Big Ten Championship. You're good damn luck, Alejandro. Good damn luck.
I do not want to say that because I'm afraid if I say something, I will jinx it. The only thing I will say is that there was a poster on our message boards at the Michigan Insider, Michigan.247sports.com, when Michigan was down 7-0. He said, "This game's over. I wish they'd be down 21-3 so I could turn off the TV and do something else." I don't know who that was, but I hope you kept watching because you probably had a better afternoon if you did.
Right, absolutely. Well, great job, Alejandro. We'll see you back this way. And, of course, we'll see you in Indianapolis, man. All right, now we got to bring the other fellas on. Let's bring them in. Let's go 6 box. Bring in Zach, too. There we go. All right. What happened? What happened to the fellas? There we go.
They're there.
There we go. All right, so let's start off with –
I'm cooking like JJ. I'm sorry.
Let's start off with Zach Shaw. So Zach, this was a game where it seemed like, if you were listening to the broadcast, it seemed like the momentum that Ohio State had going was on the verge of putting Michigan down. I wonder how it felt to you after Ohio State went right down the football field. Michigan answers with a field goal, and it just really seemed like they couldn't get things going offensively. Did you feel Michigan teetering like they were saying on the broadcast, or did you kind of sense that something was bubbling just beneath for the Wolverines that actually obviously wound up breaking out?
Yeah, I did not sense the second half. I'll admit to that one. It was not something I expected. But, I think one thing that was really important that first half is Ohio State put up 315 yards of offense and only had 20 points to show for it. I think that, when I'm looking back on this game, obviously the story is the second half, but I think quietly a couple of those defensive stops. I mean, Ohio State got the scripted drive. It was actually the first opening drive touchdown Michigan has allowed all season. So you knew it was going to be a tough battle, but I think the fact that Michigan's defense had at least a little bit of a counterpunch, I think that really played a tremendous role in this game because I think it really did feel like Ohio State was clicking, and it felt like they were a little bit on the verge. I don't know if Michigan's demeanor changed necessarily, but Ohio State, I mean, they were amped up. They were ready to go. Obviously, the fans, they were ready to go as well. And I think the fact that Michigan kept it in the ballpark, I mean, it's kind of like a basketball game where none of your shots are falling, all of their shots are falling, and you're close at halftime. You're almost feeling like that's a victory. So Michigan, to be able to go into the first half down 3 points after rushing for 10 yards and allowing over 300 yards of offense, quietly, that's really significant. And I think that really set the tone for the players in the locker room. You know, they didn't have to be panicked. They didn't have to be scared. They could say, look, this is a reset. You know, we lost Blake Corum. We weren't sure what was going to happen. Mike Morris as well turned out to be more limited than maybe Michigan had hoped. But they got to go to the locker room only down 3, hit the reset button, and I think pretty much everyone in the country saw what happened after that.
Yeah, we focus so much, Zach, on the offense, but defensively, the second half of this season, the second half of games, this defense has been lights out, and that was the case again today. Bend but don't break in the first half. In the second half, it felt like they kind of got into a groove of getting pressure, of mixing coverages on the back end, really confusing C.J. Stroud, making him hold the ball. It was another outstanding effort by Jesse Minter today.
It was. And I think one thing to keep in mind is Ohio State, they're number 2 in the country in red zone touchdown percentage. But I think you saw Michigan, not only did they have like excellent coverage pretty much the whole game, but it almost felt like Ohio State was put out of its comfort zone, especially when it was close to the end zone. I mean, it was crazy that Marvin Harrison, Emeka Egbuka, I mean, you talk about the receivers that they have, and the way their offensive line was playing early, I was kind of stunned that they didn't have more. And then I think in the second half, you saw, I mean, this has become a staple of Michigan. There was a lot of adjustments in coverage. I felt like the defensive line was getting off blocks much better. I don't know if it resulted in more sacks, but at least there was more pressure. There was a little bit more tenacity up front. And then I think that, you know, the coach that I know Jim Harbaugh joked that he wishes he could nominate him for the Broyles Award, but Ben Herbert, I mean, this is a team that is built to play 60 minutes better than any team in the country right now. And really probably better than any Michigan team we've seen in the last, in the 21st century. I mean, they every single game, they wear opponents down. I mean, they might have been deflated in the first half, but they still had gas in the tank in the second half. You look at the last 10 years of this rivalry, been a lot of close. Oh, what's up? Been a lot of.
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah,
Jim.
Hey,
yeah, Jim. See you in Indy, Jim.
McCarthy, Mr. McCarthy, your son just became legendary today.
Yes, he did.
For those that are listening to the radio, by the way, James McCarthy posted in the chat, WTKA, love you guys, signed JJ's dad.
If you're listening,
he's listening.
Your son just became legendary today. And I mean, he joins the annals of what Rick Leach was able to do, what Jim Harbaugh was able to do, what Elvis Gerbach was to do. What a day. What a day for your son, JJ McCarthy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today, and this is an excellent time to bring in Josh Newkirk, because we talked about 2 players in the pregame. We talked about JJ McCarthy and Donovan Edwards. We spent a lot of time on them, right? Because you've been watching these 2 forever. And we've been saying all week, just look, we think even when you have your full stable of running, but even when Blake is healthy, let JJ cook a little bit more. But certainly in the absence of Blake Corum, your best bet is to turn it over to number 9 a little more. And they finally did, Josh, and look at the result.
I mean, like you said, we've been watching this guy, watching JJ mature as a young man into the young adult that he is now. And he's just maturing in front of our eyes and becoming just a better and better football player. He knew as Michigan lost their Heisman hopeful. I mean, he was out. He tried to play Blake Corum. Someone had to step up. And not only did JJ step up, Donovan Edwards stepped up and the rest of the team stepped up. But those 2 guys individually, JJ with that first half performance, able to hit the deep shots that he wasn't hitting all season. I mean, he hit CJ in those 2 balls. It reminded me of like Ty Streets in '96. I mean, it reminded me of Ty Streets in the Rose Bowl. Like, where was this? And then you had Donovan in the second half, passed on, breaks those 2 long runs. I'm in the end zone. You're just watching, and you're down on the field, and you're just seeing the Ohio State fans just sort of, the air just got sucked out of the stadium, and then you got the plethora of Michigan fans up top. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit. It puckered up real tight, Sam.
Puckered up real tight.
It puckered up real tight, and it was just it all came together. It was beautiful to watch, and to see these 2 guys that we hyped up. We we live and die on the sword, Sam. You know that. We followed recruiting, and we say a guy is a legit player, we stand by that. And we've been saying it from the day one. JJ is the real deal. He makes plays, give it time. And he showed it at the right time. And he was a legend.
And I said, the legacy, the legend of JJ McCarthy really started tonight, I believe. But game pressure is a funny thing, man, because you saw last year when they realized they couldn't stop Michigan, you could kind of see, how they moved around on the field was different. The sideline was different. And so they had a whole lot of swagger to start the game. And they come out, they go right down the field, and it's looking like Michigan can't do anything because Blake is hurt. They make the first play with CJ, and when they made the second play with CJ, you can start to see that doubt start to creep in real big after that point.
Yeah. When you saw it, it was a bunch of counter punches, right? Michigan went on top. Ohio State answered, took the lead at the half. Michigan comes out, takes the lead again, and then you just saw them. They didn't stop. I actually think a big win for Michigan was holding them to that field goal, right? And then Donovan comes out and just busts them for another big play. They had no answers. And it was just Michigan saw it. They saw the opportunity to take over the game, and they did, and they dominated them. And I haven't seen them dominate Ohio State like that in a long time. And I just, I'm a sort of I like the history of this game. And you had Mr. Clark mentioning all the great quarterback performances. Well, hey, we got to put this Donovan Edwards performance up there with Tshmunga, Biakabatuka, because this was an incredible second half. He did it all in the second half.
Hey, man,
200 plus yards, incredible.
So you think about the bend but don't break, the red zone trade-off that Jesse Minter was talking about. Hey, give up 3, you save 4, was kind of his philosophy. If they get in the red zone, we stop them there. We'll take that because this team is going to make some plays. That was a great strategy. Again, mixing coverages in the second half, still coming with some mixing the blitzes in, kept them off balance. Offensively, in 2 things. You had J.J. McCarthy involving him a little more in the run game. Early down shots, that was a big, big deal. And then as they got deeper in the second half, I know I was thinking to myself, man, they need to include JJ in the run game more. But they kept feeding Donovan Edwards. And we said before the game, and I want you guys, you talked about, I want you too, Zach, to put this performance in perspective. This man is out there with one hand. He has not played in 2 weeks, and you could see him have to concentrate on taking handoffs, concentrate on catching the football. Normally, he's making the first guy miss every time. That wasn't happening as much today because he had to concentrate on ball security. But, man, once he got comfortable holding the football and Michigan had him leaning a little bit with the pass because that kind of opened up the run a little bit, it was off to the races, and I called this one of the gutsiest performances in the history of this series. You mentioned it up there with Tshmunga Biakabatuka. Let's go to you real quick, Josh. I'm curious if you can put what we saw from Donovan Edwards in perspective today.
I think last year Donovan Edwards put people on notice for his receiving yards, his record-breaking receiving yards performance at Maryland, right? And they sort of been bringing him along slowly. Today, Donovan Edwards put himself on the college football map. He did, flat out. I think he hit a cast on and ran right through the Ohio State defense in the second half. They didn't know what to do. This is the first time where, we're always talking about like the skilled players on Ohio State. Well, Michigan matched it with a skilled player of their own that's very, very good. And it's a legendary performance. I know I don't want to abuse that word, but what else can you say?
Yeah. Hey, let's go to Zach real quick. Zach, your closing remarks on what we saw from the Wolverines today, what this means for Jim Harbaugh, because the only ones nationally that picked Michigan to win this game were Desmond Howard and Charles Woodson, Zach. I mean, seriously, no one nationally gave Michigan a chance to win this game, especially with Blake Corum out. Then you get in the game and Mike Morris is out too. And you got your backup running back with one hand. Urban Meyer was saying this was going to be a blowout. Jim Harbaugh showed him it was something different.
He did. I mean, you're talking about, in terms of the context, top 5 win on the road against a number 2 team in the country. They're undefeated. It's your arch rival, your 106,000 fans that hate you, screaming at you, and arguably your best offensive and defensive player turn out to be out for the game. I mean, you could probably count on one hand the number of wins Michigan has, and it's very storied history that carry this much stakes toughness, execution, and overall national significance. Michigan, it's always said, going 12-0 in a regular season is one of the hardest things to do in college sports, and Michigan made it look incredibly easy. I mean, they steamrolled the Buckeyes in the second half, and so this is an all-time win. This is one Michigan fans are going to tell their grandkids about, and their kids are probably going to tell their grandkids about. I mean, it's about as incredible as it gets, and I think the big thing that jumps out to me, Jim Harbaugh said after the game, locker room full of heroes. He told the team last night they didn't need one or two heroes in this game. They needed a whole team full of them. And they got it. I mean, Mike Sainristil's pass breakup, Donovan Edwards, who, for just to add to Newkirk's point, this was a guy who wore a cast and made plays as a true freshman in spring practice. He had an operation on his hand. He wasn't full health, but he's just that tough of a dude. I mean, this is a team full of guys who really don't care about excuses, about circumstances, about whatever setbacks they're facing. They just go out and produce and play and play. I mean, Jim Harbaugh said after the game, disciplined athletes with grit. They got the dog in them. This is an incredible team. It's going to go down as one of the best Michigan teams of all time. And it really just strikes me how many players elevate their game under pressure and really looking ahead to the rest of the season. There could be 3 games left. And it really feels like it can be that way because they have guys who just, for decades, it felt like Michigan sometimes in these games would, I don't know if wilt is the right word, but they wouldn't play. They're better than they ever played before. You're looking at Ohio State and Penn State now. They close those second halves with really just looking like the number 1 team in the country. There's not much else I can say about it.
Yeah, man. Hey, fellas, get back home safe. Hotel for Indy already booked. Hotels for Indy already booked, fellas.
We'll see you at St. Elmo's, baby.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they're going back.
Hey, we know this guy named Jim. Hey, shots on you this time, Jim. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, fellas, drive safe, and we'll see you back when you get to Ann Arbor, all right?
Thank you to Sam's team of Josh Newkirk, Zach Shaw, and Alejandro Zuniga. Great job from them down in Columbus from the MichiganInsider.com. We get to continue reliving the Michigan Wolverines' 45-23 victory over Ohio State when we come back inside the break with the plays of the game here on the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, Ann Arbor, a Cumulus station.
Clear on the radio.
Come on over here. Let's get Uncle Darren on the mic because we in the stream, and so my brother-in-law was a little worried about me. Can we raise this chair up real quick? So brother-in-law, they were talking a whole lot of yang about Scam Webb, weren't they?
Bro, it was so disrespectful.
It wasn't it though?
Talking about the father of my nephews. You know what I mean? He's a good man to my sister. You understand me? All he does is tell facts and try to teach class, and people get mad. I don't understand. It looked like everything the man said came to pass to me. I don't.
Yeah, and we had, and see, the problem is I keep saying, when you listen to a parolee, that's the kind of analysis that you're gonna get, right? I mean, if you want to know about Ron Jeremy, you can listen to Zach Smith. But if you want to know about how things go on the football field, you need to listen to us. This is the message for the Buckeyes. For the Buckeyes. See, there's a reason why nobody else will hire Zach Smith, right? He only got his job because he's Earl Bruce's grandson. That's the only reason why. You see, when he got fired, nobody else. You see, he's doing what we do. Now, I don't pretend to have all the answers football-wise. I talk to the guys that do. We have actual football experts on the air with us. Him, on the other hand, he goes and gets the guys, like I said, from Vivid Video, Excalibur VOD, some bootleg guy from, I don't even know where he got this Step and Fetch It brother from. I don't even know where he got him from, right? Listen to us. Next time, you won't be so sad at the end of the day because you'll be expecting it, right? I always found when I was expecting the behind whooping, it didn't hurt as bad. When I didn't see it coming, that's when it really got me. See, that's what happened to Ohio State today. You didn't see the ass whooping coming. I tried to warn y'all. Next time, listen to your boy. And by the way, Lions, don't draft CJ Stroud. How many examples do you need to see? I mean, I would say Cowboys don't draft CJ Stroud, but at this point, you don't care about the Cowboys, right?
It was a different lifetime, sir. Long before I put a toe on the line, but we're going to move on from that.
See, here's the deal. What we saw today with the emergence of J.J. McCarthy is the missing link.
Sam, you know what today was for JJ? It was game 1 of his 2023 Heisman campaign.
Yeah, and what we saw what you need in order to go all the way.
We've talked about it. You need the difference maker at quarterback.
You need the difference maker at quarterback.
You know what's great, Sam?
Difference making performance today.
All those guys that didn't really play a lot, or even the ones that did that were dinged up today, they get a month before the playoff. That's gonna be an important month.
So
you get healthy in a month.
I'm just glad. See, he's the proud father of a Wolverine. Now, this is your first year as the father of a Wolverine. Look at what you're experiencing, man.
All you know is winning.
She's getting it all.
All you know is winning.
It's beautiful. You might even want to put her on. I don't know. Hey,
all she knows is winning.
All she knows is winning.
It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. Is that how that goes?
That's how it goes.
Back on radio in about a minute.
All right.
We're back on radio.
Pump it up, Miz. Hey, let me see the CJ Stroud sign. We need to make sure that lives on in perpetuity. I have to make a screenshot out of that just so Holmes knows we do not want CJ Stroud in Detroit.
Where Miz is working on it. He's been working on the big board very actively throughout the show.
I mean, why would you go to the Big 12 to get a defensive coordinator? Why would you go to the Big 12 to get a defensive coordinator? Does it make sense to anyone? Does that logical to anyone out there? Anyone? Makes no sense to me.
Bueller. Apparently Cam Calhoun committed to Michigan.
All right, yeah, I did see that. Let me see if I can get Bryce Lover on it.
Marriage. A kid.
Bryce Lover.
As I call him.
Let me get Bryce Marriage.
As we're getting ready to go back on the air or on the radio, reminder, we will be in Indianapolis next Saturday night. Standing by, coming back on radio. And we are back here on the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA The Ticket. We are online at WTKA.com. And Steve Clark is here with us. And I haven't had a chance to really get Steve Clark just to kind of go for a moment, Steve. Just celebrate, my man. Enjoy yourself.
Ira, Sam, rivalry restored.
No doubt.
It is not a fluke. You had good weather in Columbus. If this was supposed to be a track meet in Columbus in 50-degree weather, like Sam said, well, guess what? Michigan had the sprinters. Michigan had the high jumpers, the shot putters, the discus throwers, the hurdlers. What else am I missing? Michigan had the track athletes in this game. Don't think so? Let's talk to Donovan Edwards. Multiple runs of 70 yards or more for touchdowns. Rivalry restored. What were the people thinking nationally about Michigan making it to the playoff? They thought it would be a travesty if Michigan lost this game. They had a very low regard of the Michigan Wolverines, and you saw it in the pregame shows on national television. And what are they thinking in Columbus right now? We talked about it Wednesday, Sam, on the midweek peak. If Jim Knowles and the Ohio State Buckeyes don't win this game, this is a failure. Ryan Day could have picked anyone to pay $2 million to be their defensive coordinator. For what? To win this game. They did not. They gave up 40-plus points.
Hey, Jim Knowles is a big old pimp, man. He's a big old pimp. He just picked the hell out of Ohio State. I'm just saying. He just took them to the woodshed. Money-wise, they can't take the money back. He didn't. Here's the thing. He didn't even pretend. He's from the Big 12, where they play no defense, Steve. I still don't understand why they thought that was going to work against Michigan. What good defense exists in the Big 12? None, as far as I know. Maybe TCU this year, but they aren't stopping. They don't play defense west of the Mississippi.
We went to Ohio State without Blake Corum. Okay.
One hand Donovan
Edwards in 50-degree weather. Let's remember the excuses that Ohio State said going into this game afterwards. They said it was the snow. They said it was in Michigan Stadium. They said we didn't take them seriously, but we will now. They said we had a little bit of the flu and maybe a bit of COVID on our team that week. And Josh Gaddis ran his mouth. Jim Harbaugh ran his mouth after the game, and they said, we will make Michigan pay. And the national media believed Michigan was going to have a check that they could not cash. Well, guess what, everybody?
Third base.
Guess what?
Third base.
Third base, Lou Costello. That's exactly right. And you, Abbott, whatever his first name was.
Hey, I don't know.
It has to be.
Thank you,
It has
man.
to be true. My man is tearing down the kingdom. Think about it. What he inherited was a program that was dominating Michigan. The formula was there. He came in and tried to outthink the room. We have to be more pro style. We have to be more spread out. He have to be more wide open. We have to develop quarterbacks. Brad Holmes, you better not draft that dude. We have to develop these quarterbacks, right? All of a sudden, now you have a Michigan that's man enough. Now what you gonna do? Okay, well, fire my boy. Fire, no loyalty at all. Fire all my guys. We gonna go get some guys who can play defense. Now all of a sudden they're tough. They changed that overnight. Supposedly, allegedly, supposedly. What happened today? What happened today? A one-handed guy beat your ass with the other hand. With the other hand. Come on, man.
Rivalry restored, even in the 10-year war, Sam. When Bo Schembechler upset the greatest Ohio State team of all time in 1969. It went back to Columbus, and the Buckeyes won. Well, we had a pretty big upset in 2021, and this Michigan team went into Columbus and beat them again.
I think I got my swagger back.
By a little more,
Again.
actually.
And see, I don't know who do you fire now if you're Ryan Day? Who do you fire? I mean, you get to the point where you're pointing all these fingers and there's no one else to point fingers
Ohio
at.
State people are just saying fire Ryan Day.
Because, like I said, he inherited a kingdom. The formula was set. Don't mess it up. That was your only job. Your only job is to don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. And you got in there and you decided that, the way Urban was doing it, it was old, it was antiquated. I don't even know why Urban's still riding for you like that. Because Urban knows you got to be physical in the Big Ten. Not just physical, right? But you got to have a physical element to you. Ohio State doesn't have that anymore. They lost it because of Ryan Day. He tried to go and find it in the Big 12 of all places and couldn't find it there. He went to the Big 12 and surprise, it got worse. He's the only one surprised by that, right? So now what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Buckeyes? Buckeyes, what are you going to do?
I
you
don't know.
Listen to me next time, Buckeyes.
But here's what's going on. For a decade and then a decade again, Ohio State was in Michigan's head. And when that happens, it's tough to overcome it. The Michigan basketball team had it in their heads against Michigan State until guys like Stu Douglas came around and found a way to mentally have an edge and win. And when that happened, it snowballed. Michigan was in a situation where they would be confident until something went wrong, and then it snowballed and they would lose. But Michigan mentally found a way to beat Ohio State in 2021. They came into this place confident. Even when they were trailing, they were still confident. And when Michigan scored, what did you hear on the national broadcast? The air in the stadium just left Columbus. Yeah. And they're talking about the dynamic of the Michigan sideline versus the Ohio State sideline. Let me tell you, in just 2 years, Michigan now has the mental edge over Ohio State right now. And that carries in to 2023 when they come back into Ann Arbor. And they're going to say all they want about how much they learned and how much they're better and how much this time it's going to be different. But this Michigan team now has a mental edge over those Buckeyes from Columbus.
So on Monday night,
got my swagger back.
On Monday night, I spoke. I emceed or moderated a conversation with the U of M Club of Greater Detroit, and Mike Martin gave a quote. And I don't know who the motivational speaker guy or the book that he was quoting it from, but the quote he gave was that Michigan needs to go down and steal their soul. And right now, I'm just trying to think what moment in the game that the soul was actually stolen. But it happened in that second half, and it was glorious. And we're going to relive this game. We get to relive this game by going through the plays of the game. And usually we just have an offensive play of the game brought to you by Bud Light. We have two. Usually we have a drive of the game brought to you by Brighton Ford, but we have two. We usually have a gem of the game brought to you by Lewis Jewelers, but we have two. We usually have a defensive play of the game brought to you by the Reed Law Group, but we have two because there were just that many great plays. So, guys, let's start on the offense with the offensive play of the game brought to you by Bud Light, official game day partner of Sports Talk 1050 WTKA The Ticket. And the score was 10-3. Michigan was trailing. They needed a big play. So what happened? Cornelius Johnson happened, the first of the offensive plays of the game.
3rd and 8 from their own 31. 7:41 to go in the half. Michigan trails at 10-3. JJ back to pass. Heavy blitz. Fires far side. He's got his man. Cornelius Johnson. He makes a man miss. He's in the clear to the 50. Tripped up. He's going to go. Cornelius Johnson. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, CJ.
And, of course, they add the extra point to make it 10-10. And then Michigan is down 13-10, and they need another big play from the offense. So what do? They go back to Cornelius Johnson again, and 69 yards just wasn't long enough. So this time he goes for the second offense play of the game. He takes it in from 75 yards out. Let's hear it again.
JJ's got the snap. Play action, back to pass. Steps up in the pocket, looking deep. He's got a man wide open. It's Cornelius Johnson again, John. He's in the clear. CJ to the 10, to the 5. Yes. One play, 75 yards. Touchdown, Michigan, and the Wolverines lead.
So that made it 17-13 Michigan. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how big Cornelius Johnson was for this team, Sam, in the first half in particular.
CJ came up and made a play for his quarterback. Part of it, the first part of it was JJ. Recognizing, as I went through before, it's an all-out blitz. It's man-to-man on the outside. Now, a lot of guys panic in that situation. JJ was composed. You might have thought that, he's crumbling under pressure as he backs out. No, you got to buy a beat. We've gone over this. This season. When it's an all-out blitz, you can't get everyone, right? Buy some time. So he retreat. Give CJ enough time to get open on the out. He hits him now. It's on the receiver to make a play. And he did. Great individual play that started to finally put some game pressure on Ohio State. You would think that would back them off a little bit, right? Because that's where they're the weakest. You think they're weak up front. They're weaker on the back end. You would think they would try to compensate for that a little more. You would think they would spread the Mount Everest out to their DBs. They clearly did not. They didn't have Mount Everest. It's in short supply in Columbus this week. Woo! Because they were coming up short on the corner all day long. Real short on the corner all day long. You would think they would try to compensate for that. They did not. So what do you do when you have defenses disrespecting your personal space? We talked about this last week with Illinois. Better defense, by the way. I bet you won't hear anybody saying scam Webb now. When I say Illinois' defense is better than Ohio State's, right? Won't hear anybody saying that now. But I digress. When a defense is disrespecting your personal space, the way that Ohio State was, you have got to throw it over their heads. You have got to. Politics demand that. And there are methods to the madness. Double move, play action, double move. Play action, double move. That's exactly what they hit him with. Play action, double move, house call. No one was in the frame. JJ actually kind of underthrew it a little bit just to make sure that his man had a chance to catch the ball. CJ had a chance to catch the ball, and the DB still wasn't in the frame. Still couldn't catch up. You knew, and they knew that was going to be there all day long.
All right, so the second Cornelius Johnson touchdown made it 17-13 Michigan. Ohio State does score to make it 20-17 at the half. Michigan has been great at halftime adjustments all season long, and this game proved to be absolutely no different. So we have two drives of the game brought to you by Brighton Ford. Get on board with Brighton Ford, or as Devin would say, Sam, if you love the Lord, get on board with Brighton Ford.
You see already? Look at the screen. Look at the screen, Steve.
Already on the hot seat.
Already on the hot seat.
Yeah. All right, so the drive of the game brought to you by Brighton Ford. Get on board with Brighton Ford online at BrightonFord.com. So Michigan, they deferred the as they should, right? They deferred the coin toss. They get the ball to start the second half, and they put together a masterful 7-play, 75-yard drive that was capped by this play.
1st and 10, Michigan at the Ohio State 45-yard line. JJ in a shotgun. Back to pass, looking downfield. He's going to fire. He's got Colston Loveland wide open. It's caught. 15, 10, 5. The freshman dives for the end zone. Is he in? Colston Loveland, touchdown. JJ McCarthy to the co-offensive MVP of the Sawtooth Central Conference for 6. And Michigan leads 23-20, 45 yards.
That extra, of course, they make the extra point to make it 24-20. That was a 7-play, 75-yard drive going 3 minutes and 4 seconds, capped by that Colston Loveland touchdown. The Wolverines go on defense, and they do get one first down, Ohio State does. But then, man, there were so many great plays, and these are not coming up in our defense plays of the game because there were 2 turnovers late in the game. But how about St. Risso and Colston with a stop on 3rd and 3 on this possession to get the ball back for the Wolverines, and Michigan goes 3 and out. But the Michigan defense gets the job done again. Just a moment. Can we just have a moment on this next Ohio State drive? They started the ball at the Michigan 49-yard line with 8:03 to go in the third quarter. They proceeded to end up at the Michigan 48-yard line. But this drive is like a microcosm of Ohio State in the second half. They were a mess. Fall starts at home, and all they had the dead ball, unsportsmanlike penalty for the guy out of bounds, like all kinds of nonsense going on. That drive was awesome. Michigan gets the ball back after that, which gets us to our second drive of the game, brought to you by Brighton Ford. Get on board with Brighton Ford. This drive was so good, I ran out of space on the page that I was writing on. 15 plays, 80 yards, 7 minutes and 51 seconds. I think this is the drive that actually stole the soul of the Buckeyes, but we can have that conversation later. JJ McCarthy caps this drive with a touchdown run of his own.
2 receivers split left, 1 split right. Donovan Edwards in the backfield. JJ's got the snap. Quarterback run. He's got a hole, spins to the goal line. Is he in? Touchdown, Michigan. JJ McCarthy from 3 yards out, and the Wolverines extend the lead.
So, Sam, when Michigan needed big drives in the second half, they got them.
That was a great.
I know, Steve, you're on your way out the door, right?
Yes.
Parting words from Steve Clark as we go through the drives of the game.
Fantastic. I also want to invite at some point Greg Dooley this week in Michigan football history to get his takes because he can give you a historical perspective on what this Michigan victory means in the grand scheme of things.
And I want him to tell everybody that we're at like 99 on the scale right now. There can't get much higher than the how Michigan fans are feeling right now. We'll get to that. We'll get to that during our KeyBank Keys players of the game, coming up in a little bit. Steve, always great to see you, my friend.
Great to be here. We are back as an organization, as a program, as a football team. Sam and I, or you guys, have had to weather some tough sledding over the years. My kids haven't seen Michigan winning, and I told them, this is what it's like every year from 1969 to about 2007. This is what it's like every Saturday, the last Saturday in November. They're experiencing it now, and it just makes me so happy. So, guys, enjoy the rest of the postgame show. I have to move on.
We'll talk to you on Wednesday, and we'll see you in Indianapolis.
Yes, look, please enjoy tonight, but be responsible, be safe, take care of yourselves. Don't get into a bad accident where it changes the whole day for you and other people. So have a great time.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
Clark, we will see you. I'll talk to you on Wednesday, and we'll see you in Indianapolis. All right, so Sam, drives of the game. They needed big drives in the second half, and man, both of them, right? But the second one in particular, kind of a steal your soul. Michigan they'd been stopped. Their previous drive, Michigan went 3 and out. Ohio State had their mess of a drive, even though they had started on Michigan territory. They had the bad punt. It got touched back, and then Michigan just marches down their throat. They had a 3rd and 1. They had a 3rd and 3. Then the 3rd and 11 on the pass interference. That drive was phenomenal, which means Michigan was able to stack scores together to make it a 2-score game and really never looked back after that. I mean, they did get it to 31-23, but Ohio State never had the ball again in a 1-score game from that moment forward.
Yeah, and so you saw the duality of J.J. McCarthy. They didn't run him as much as I was calling for them, but they ran him enough. They ran him enough to make them respect the threat. That had become an issue. They were not respecting the run enough. Now you got to worry about JJ running too. That makes it even more open. But for me, it was the pivot on early downs in this game that was a big key. Early down shots. You played the Coast and Loveland play. 1st and 10, play action, shot play. Then they get in the red zone. JJ running the football. Now you got them leaning. You got them worried about shots over the top. You got them worried about the quarterback running the football. Now the sledding gets even better or gets easier for a Donovan Edwards. They didn't know which way to go. They didn't know which way to turn. It was an outstanding all-around effort. So to the offensive coaching brain trust, they'll tell you they had a lot of this percolating for months. They had a lot of it, holding a lot of it back. JJ running, some of the shot calls that they had, obviously the play with Khalil Mullingstone. They held some things back and sprung it at the right time. But I got to also go back to, man, they got a chance to really get it together because that defense, you talk about Ohio State's drives, that defense got stronger and stronger as the day went on, confusing CJ Stroud. Think about it. People were so worried about the pressure, as was I, worried about the pressure in this game, but there was a method to the madness. Mix your looks, give them just enough blitz pressure, have a few guys step up. How about Braden McGregor today, folks? How about Braden McGregor and the
2 near INTs?
The big stop. It was a big third down stop. He made big plays today in place of Mike Morris. Let's remember, Michigan was without his best defensive player too, Ira.
They were.
And still went out there and spanked that behind.
And we'll have a chance more to highlight defensive players of the game in the key players of the game. Also, a couple of defensive plays of the game coming up. In fact, we're going to get to them in just a moment. So we pick it up. It's 31-20 following that the nice touchdown drive for the Wolverines in that was late in the third quarter into the fourth quarter. Ohio State's able to kick a field goal with 7:23 to go in the fourth quarter, making it 31-23. So they've got to be feeling, you know what? If we just make a stop, get the ball back, you got a chance here. There's 7.5 minutes to go in the game, no problem. So let's get to the first of our gems of the game, brought to you by Lewis Jewelers. Check out Lewis Jewelers' brand new and bigger location this holiday season. Visit their new store at 300 South Maple Road in Ann Arbor, and they're always online at lewisjewelers.com. Lewis Jewelers, proud partner of Michigan Athletics and Sports Talk 1050 WTKA The Ticket. So the very next play, literally, the very next play after Ohio State, they kick their field goal, they kick off, Michigan takes a touchback. The very next play is the first gem of the game because Donovan Edwards himself was a gem in this one. Donovan takes it the distance from 75 out.
From the 25-yard line, Wolverines with 3 receivers split out. Donovan Edwards in the backfield. Next to J.J. McCarthy from a shotgun, standing on his own 20. Has the snap. Inside handoff. Edwards, and he's got some room to the 30. To the 40, to the 45, to the 50. Can he outrun the Buckeyes? To the 30, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Donovan Edwards.
Yeah, baby.
5 yards.
Oh, my goodness.
I think John Jansen kind of summed it up for all Michigan fans in that moment, making it 38-23 with 7:11 to go in the fourth quarter. Now, Ohio State gets the ball back, Sam, and they're marching down the field. They're doing a pretty good job. And they get all the way down to the Michigan 16-yard line, and that gets us to our first of our defensive plays of the game. Brought to you by the Reed Law Group. When your family life hits troubled waters, let their firm be the light that guides you back to stability. From divorce to child custody proceedings, they will be there for you. Reach them at reedlawgrouppc.com. That's Reed, R-E-E-D, reedlawgrouppc.com. And on 3rd and 16, pressure forces, I'm not even sure what CJ Stroud was throwing, and Taylor Upshaw says thank you. Here's the first of our defensive plays of the game.
CJ Stroud barks some commands, has the snap, back to pass, looking. He's got nobody. He's going to try and run, and the Wolverines are going to bring him down. He underhands the ball and is intercepted.
Yeah.
It's intercepted. He underhanded the ball to his tight end, I believe, Stover.
I think it's Taylor Upshaw.
It popped up in the air, and Taylor Upshaw corralled it. The Michigan defensive lineman down the field gets the interception with 4:19 to go.
I think John Jansen, again, his giddiness speaks for all of us on that play right there. That's Taylor Upshaw. Yeah, that was awesome. And that set up Michigan because 3 plays later, we go back to the gem of the game, brought to you by Lewis Jewelers, because I said who, Sam, was a gem in this one? Donovan Edwards. 3 plays later from the Michigan 15-yard line because, his previous touchdown of 75 apparently was too short. This time he brings it in from 85 yards, another gem of the game.
J.J. McCarthy in a shotgun. has the snap. Hands it off to Donovan Edwards, and he's in the clear, John. To the 30, to the 35, to the 40, to the 50. They will not catch Donovan Edwards. He will score. Donovan Edwards.
And at that point in time, that's a big touchdown as well, Sam, because it was still, Ohio State's back, if they make a stop, especially the first one. But 45-23 is the score at that point in time. And we do have one more defensive play of the game because for good measure, Michigan had one more turnover. And Makari Page said, I want them buffs. So here's a defensive play of the game brought to you by the Reed Law Group. One final turnover for the Wolverine defense.
Michigan still has 2 minutes to wind off this clock, but they lead by 3 scores. Stroud back to pass on 3rd and 9. Steps up, fires over the middle, looking for his tight end Stover, and it's off his hands, and it's intercepted. Makari Page with the interception, the first of his career, and he's returning it to the 35, and he's wrangled down there by Emeka Ibuka, right in front of the Ohio State bench, Marcus Ray style, and that, John, might just about do it.
That did just do it. And some of the other touchdowns might have done it as well. But like Tim messaged in, he said that after the mass exodus, after Donovan's second touchdown, I'm sure there were a few different waves of the game where there were mass exoduses out of the stadium in the second. As I said,
took their heart.
When Mike Martin gave that quote, steal their soul, I've been thinking about that one since Monday, and I'm going to be thinking about it. I think it was the long drive, the long 80-yard touchdown drive, but there were multiple moments that probably aided in the stealing of their soul. But, I mean, you guys have all nailed it, whether it's your guys on the field down in Columbus or Steve Clark. This is the return. It's beyond the returning of the rivalry to like a balance, right? The 10-year war in the end, Michigan won it 5-4-1. This is a little different because Michigan went down to Columbus and beat them worse than they beat them here a year ago. Michigan gets the victory 45-23, and those are your extended version of your plays of the game here on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA. The Ticket.
See, they start believing their own hype, man. Is this really the problem?
You know what they should do? Just go back to getting Amazon packages, Zach Smith.
They believe that you could just go get tough overnight, right? And they thought if they addressed that it would fix everything. Like you had a bad it wasn't just about your lack of toughness. I mean, you just had a bad defense last year too. How about addressing that? They didn't fix everything that ailed them defensively, and it took a team like Michigan to expose them last year. It took a team like Michigan to expose them again this year. Think about that, Buckeyes.
All right, so I have one more question. I have 2 more questions I want to ask you in this segment, and then we're going to come back on the other side and get to our key players of the game. But I asked you a question months ago now, and I'm going to ask that question first, and then I'm going to follow it up with the second part of the question. The first one is, did Michigan break Ohio State?
They did.
And the second question is this the end of any conversations about, flukes or this or that? Or
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's over.
There's no doubt. You got beat worse
at home.
Think about that. Without the 2 best players. Are you kidding me? You made all these changes. You fixed all these things that need to be fixed. You went and got the right dudes, right? The weather was perfect. Maybe it was a little too sunny for the Buckeyes. A little too sunny for the Buckeyes.
The sun was in their eyes, and that's it. The sun was in their eyes.
It was a little too. You needed overcast skies too. I get it. The wind was blowing 1 mile an hour. You needed to be flat. I get it. I understand. Wasn't perfect conditions for the track meet that you wanted to have. But that aside, there were so many things you said you fixed, right? Well, what happened? What happened to the fixes today? Right? I mean, y'all went and bought some, whatever that dope was, he was selling y'all was bad dope. Bad dope. Super bad dope. Like you didn't get the Cialis, you got the Cialex. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, that is the bootleg version of what you're supposed to have. The bootleg version of the store brand didn't work this time. Go buy some real stuff. Hey, I got Ric Flair in the mentions right now. I can hook you up. I can hook you up. Ric Flair can fix what's wrong with you down there in Columbus, because clearly you don't have the answers. Now, I tried to give you some football answers, and y'all didn't listen. Y'all called me Scam Webb for saying, hey, go watch Illinois' tape. Go watch what Ryan Walters did to disrupt Michigan. Go look at the complexity of his schemes. Go look at the physicality of his defense. His defense is better than Ohio State's. I said that all week. All week long, I told you. And I told them. But now they ain't want to hear it. Oh, we can do what Illinois did. We're better than Illinois. Really? 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 Last I checked, Illinois only gave up 19 points. Y'all gave that up in a half. More than that in a half. Whole game. They played a half without Blake Corum. Y'all played a whole game without Blake Corum. It did worse. Worse. Come on, man. Come on. Something wrong in Columbus.
Sam, give him credit. They only gave up 17 in the first half. So in a half, they gave up 2 points less than Illinois gave up in a game. Just give him credit.
Let's get
the math right at least.
That's pretty damn bad.
All right, so for people that are asking, we're going to get to the key players of the game on the other side of the break. And of course, next Saturday, we will be in Indianapolis at the Slippery Noodle with the KeyBank Countdown and Kickoff, getting ready for the Big Ten Championship game. It looks like Purdue just scored again, so it will most likely be against the Boilermakers. Really looking forward to that one. And if things play out the way we expect, this is what people are now asking, the next wave of questions. Georgia will be the number 1 seed. Michigan would be the number 2 seed. Georgia goes to Atlanta. Michigan goes to Glendale, Arizona. We'd be in the Fiesta Bowl. That would be where Michigan would go. They would play the 3 seed, which would probably be TCU based on how things are right now. And then the 4 seed can be a lot of things, but I'll tell you who it's not. It's not the team that just got smoked at home by 22 points. That's who it's not going to be. They played themselves out of it. I think Clemson now winning out has a better chance of going to the playoff than Ohio State. Not really, but you lose at home by 22 points, you don't sneak in as a 4 seed. You don't. The committee's not going to do it. They'll put Alabama in first. Right. Although Alabama has no wins over a team with fewer than 4 losses all season. But that's where things stand right now. We'll find out on did Clemson lose today?
Clemson lost.
Oh, Clemson lost today.
Clemson lost.
I was so focused on the Michigan game. I asked a whole bunch of scores earlier, like who won this game, who won that game. I haven't paid attention because none of it matters anyway. Ohio State
is Purdue winning. Amen. Is Purdue winning?
Yeah,
30-10.
30-10 right now.
2 minutes ago in the game.
Left to go. So that's
it's going to be. It will be Michigan Purdue next week. All right, we're going to talk a
I'm
little
sorry,
bit about
Ryan.
that.
Ryan, I won't talk too much trash.
All right.
Ryan's my guy.
We are going to step aside, take a break. We still have the KeyBank Key Players of the Game to get to here on the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Retirement Income Solutions here on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA The Ticket.
Clear on radio.
And I was born this way.
Yeah,
this is what I do, John.
The whole point
what
was,
I do.
They said if a close loss by Michigan or Ohio State, could that team then find a way in the playoff? And they got smoked at home. They're done.
They're done.
And thanks to everybody that told me that they the Clemson. That's a good. My buddy Jamie, Jamie. Yeah. His wife is a big Gamecock fan. She's from South Carolina. Yeah, I love Jamie. So Jamie, who was at the game in Columbus, my dad, who was probably not watching the stream, he's probably listening to the radio.
The only historical equivalent.
All those driving back from Columbus. Hope you had fun at the game. I know you did.
The only historical.
You can sit down.
Is 69. It's the only thing you can say.
Well, the problem is there actually is no historical equivalent because you won down there the year after you had your 69 moment, which was last year.
From a fan's perspective, from a heel perspective.
Right, I get that.
69 was the validation that now it's real.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe 2021, but
Miz, we can put Dooley on mic 4 there.
Oh, I
Let's see. Who else do I have?
No camera for Dooley. Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
Actually,
no problem. Dude, the noodle was sick.
Wasn't it?
Last year. And then Will Johnson came up with his old man. That was great. Remember that?
I do. So
It
we got to
was
get
dope.
we got to get someone else to come by this. I'll figure it out.
Dude,
we'll get a guest.
It was a coronation, what it was. And it was great.
It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
Better this year.
Yeah, TCU's blown out Iowa State 41-7.
I expected that.
Bring them on.
Ducks are up on the Beavers 34-24.
I
Bama's up.
We need
Bama's going to win this.
Morris back.
Yeah.
And my man Corum with a month. Because he played. That's not a month-long injury. He can get in there, Sam. He played today.
Who?
So Corum. It ain't a playoff.
I think he could be back for the playoff.
Yeah.
But
a month to rest.
Yeah.
They won't play next week. It's a month to rest.
Yeah.
All right, Greg.
Ohio.
You're sort of, so you know, you're on camera now.
Yeah. So that was the worst way Ohio State could lose, was thinking they were overwhelming us in the first half, the rushing yards. And that's how Fox Sports played it.
They did.
With Urban. They did. And all they talked about at halftime was Ohio. And
you see that?
yeah, to have it come down. And they all backpedaled on the post-game show.
Like
to
they
kind
didn't
of
say
explain it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was
on,
brutal.
man.
It was brutal.
Bring that up.
Please.
Because it sounds like I'm being homerish when I do
I'm trying
it.
to figure that. I only reason why I brought up the playoff thing now because with Ohio State being out, Clemson out. If USC loses, whether it's to Notre Dame or in the Pac-12 championship
They're
game,
definitely out.
and then they're out, who's the fourth team? That's why it could end up being Alabama. But would they put Alabama 4?
No, they'd probably put LSU.
Not with 2 losses.
It would be a third loss.
Oh, if they lose A&M?
I don't know what they would do. They can't put. It can't be Bama. I just don't. I mean, I guess it could be. Yeah, I don't know who would
they
be.
could lose to Georgia. Who knows?
And I guess if LSU, maybe this goes back to what we always talk about. If LSU, the SEC tanking the championship to get 2 teams in would actually set Michigan up as the 1 seed in Atlanta. Well,
it would.
In theory, in Atlanta, and it would push Georgia as the 2 or the 3 out to Arizona, and then LSU as the 4 would be coming to play Michigan in
and then
Atlanta,
USC,
and then TCU, as the 3.
Okay.
In the 2-3 game.
Yeah. They're going to avoid.
If Georgia loses, that would be Georgia has to lose to LSU for that to matter. All right, we're back in about 20 seconds. But
they're going to avoid intra-conference first round playoffs.
So they would exactly. So
yeah.
Bye, guys.
All right. Welcome back to the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Retirement Income Solutions. At RIS, they establish financial peace of mind through long-term trusting relationships. Their clients choose to work with them because they go beyond providing investment advice and creating retirement plans to truly partner with their clients across accounts, assets, and even generations. They believe in building relationships based on respect, integrity, and personalized service. Their financial advisors are deeply committed to your financial success. To find out how they can help grow and preserve your wealth, visit our friends from Retirement Income Solutions at risadvisory.com. That's risadvisory.com. And we are here following the Wolverines' 45-23 victory over Ohio State. We're going to get to the key players of the game in just a moment, but we are joined in studio by our guy, Greg Dooley from mvictors.com. And Greg, what's the mood right now, my man?
The mood's so the mood goes to 1 to 100, and it's 98.
The only thing that can move it up, so with 98, win the semifinal, 99, win the championship. That's it. That's pretty much all that's left.
And by the way, it dropped last week. It dropped after a win, which is very rare. But it dropped because people
it's not dropping after this win.
It's not. And not even close. This was one of the biggest road wins in recent history. Absolutely.
And it's final, by the way. Purdue wins the bucket.
So it's Purdue.
Purdue.
All right.
Purdue on the
Purdue.
bucket. Yep,
okay.
It's Purdue.
It was epic. And I was watching the Fox coverage, and I was actually very surprised because they've treated Michigan pretty fairly, and they are
brutal today.
It was rough because the whole halftime show, Sam, was basically what Ohio State needs to do to win this game and how they're going to win the game.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, is this not an Ohio State halftime show?
And listen, and I feel like I have an arm's length with I don't care this and that. I was watching it and going, they didn't even say anything about what Michigan can or will do. It was bad. It was bad. And then, of course, at the end, it was the backpedal. It was the backpedal with Urban talking about his Wolverines, what the Wolverines did. It was so bad. It was such a backpedal after that.
I heard that bull jive, man. They tried to make it sound like, Michigan just got a few lucky plays. Ohio State, this is Reggie Bush. You just took Michigan's best punch. Now you can knock them out. Like, what game are you watching?
I think he didn't realize that Michigan got Ohio State's best punch, and that was the end of that one. All right, so guys, key players of the game. I'm going to throw 3 names out at you, and then you guys can run from there. And I want you to comment on each of the names. The first one, Sam Webb, I'll give you the numbers, and you can go through the rest. 12 for 24 for 263 for 3 touchdowns, plus 6 for 27 and a touchdown. Of course, I'm talking about J.J. McCarthy.
The legend of J.J. McCarthy.
Launched his Heisman campaign today for next year.
You build legacies in big games. It's not what you do any other game. When you think Aiden Hutchinson, you think what he did against Ohio State. When you think Desmond Howard, you think what he did against Ohio State. Same thing with Charles. Frankly,
Tom Harmon.
Yeah, what you do against Ohio State defines you.
Did JJ get
I don't
think JJ got a standing ovation today like Harmon did.
Here he did.
With the salute.
You got to wave.
In his first opportunity, he's the biggest reason for the win. He wasn't just and I'm not saying that, you know, if you're along for the ride, if you're managing it, that you're less than. But I'm highlighting him being the reason as something to look at moving forward. Because this is the difference. This is what you need to win a championship. You need a difference maker at that spot. At that spot. He's got to be able to make you right. Whatever it takes. Big run, big throw, clutch moment. He's got to be able to step up and do that if you're going to win a championship. And you saw finally tonight, I think part of it was him having the opportunity, right? They were sitting on a lot as an offensive staff, but I also think a part of this was they were forced to trust him more. Like if Blake was there, I wonder, do we see them put as much of the game on JJ's shoulders as we saw? So I'm not saying that it's a good thing Blake was hurt. Please don't take.
But it might be the silver lining turns into
There's no
this.
question.
Yeah.
There's the.
But, that's what championships teams do, though. You know what? They overcome that kind of adversity and they find the silver lining. That's what they did.
Right. And so you have a guy that you know you can trust as a coaching staff. And it's not just handed off to Blake every time, because Blake can be back for the playoff. He won't be back next week. Ron, it's not going to be easy for you. Ohio State shows you that today. Ron, it's still going to be hard for you to defend Michigan. But you give him a month to heal up, he'll be ready to go for the playoff game. But this is your horse. This is the guy that'll lead you to the promised land. Your quarterback needs to be a playmaker. And Ira, he showed today that he's exactly who we've been saying he is. Exactly who we've been saying he is.
All right, guys, the second name for you, I will give you the numbers, and then you guys can go from there. 22 for 216 and 2 scores on the ground, plus 2 for 9 through the air, of course, Donovan Edwards.
I think it's one of the gutsiest performances we've ever seen. That's not hyperbole. The guy had to concentrate just to handle the football. So this is one of the things that frustrated me so much about the broadcast, man. I mean, Ohio State stopping a run, sure, in the first half. But they're making it seem like it was because Ohio State was just overwhelming Michigan defensively. You got one running back who can't cut. You got the other running back who can't handle the football. He's trying to figure out, can I hold it in this arm? Can I hold it with 2 arms? How do I even hold the football? And then, you know, your other guys, God bless them, they're going to come along, but they aren't ready for prime time. There are huge holes that were missed on that second drive. Go back and look at the tape. I wish I could show you the coach's copy.
There were.
Huge
holes
holes that were missed, that were on the field. And the Clad is sitting there talking like, oh, Ohio State just killed him. No, they ain't hurt. What are you watching? What are you watching? Michigan couldn't run the football because their running backs were hurt. Donovan gutted it out. So you get in the second half, and credit to the offensive staff for knowing that was still going to be there. Once we get them, now you got to worry about us throwing it over your head. Now you got to worry about the quarterback running the football. We still got number 7 back here with just a little more running room. And a little more running room was all he needed. That was some big time stuff, Dooley. When you think about big time performances in this game, we've seen better statistically, but the circumstances of his performance rank this up there as one of the all-time performances we've seen by a running back in a Michigan uniform.
By players, Tom Harmon, Ricky Leach, Jim Harbaugh, Desmond Howard,
Tim Biakabutuka,
Charles Woodson. Those names sound familiar? Yeah, big names. And they all did it.
In this game.
Yeah, in this game. And you're spot on. And by the way, the narrative of Fox was, oh, Ohio State got the message and toughened up.
Apparently
they
not.
toughened up.
Yeah, apparently not.
And that was the message even into halftime. They figured it out. Oh, we're gonna wear short shirts, short jerseys, and we're not gonna care.
Yeah.
No, Sam. No. They took it right to them.
All right,
They took it right to him.
And when I said the key players of the game, and I was going to give you 3 names, the third one, I'll be honest, I can't pick one. So I'm going to say the name Jesse Minter, because Michael Baird, 11 tackles, Will Johnson, 8 tackles, Mikey St. Russell, 7 tackles, 2 pass breakups, Junior Colson, 7 tackles, Rod Moore, 5 tackles, including a TFL and 2 pass breakups, Chris Jenkins, 5 tackles. We can keep going down the list. Sam, guys are making plays all over the field, TFLs, not a ton of sacks. In fact, only 1 sack in the entire game. And that was by Ayabi Oki late in the game. But the Wolverines just defensively pushed all the right buttons. They gave up 3 points to the world-famous Ohio State Buckeye offense in the second half.
Yeah, man, I could think of one bad call from Jesse Minter, and that's when he blitzed from depth from the field.
Right, and
I mean, that just conceptually that didn't make much sense, right? But I mean,
coaches make mistakes.
Yeah, you're not going to bat 1,000,
right?
But his overarching defensive theme today was red zone defense, because these guys are going to make plays. Make them be methodical, right? And if they can be methodical and get in the red zone, we'll slam the door there. But just don't get beat deep. Don't get beat over your head. It happened one time today where they got beat over their heads. And they were outstanding in the red zone. Outstanding in the red zone. And the thing that should really stick with people is how often you saw C.J. Stroud holding the football.
Because the coverage was great. The coverage was great.
The coverage was outstanding.
Great
Steve
point.
Clinkscale deserves a lot of credit for that too, for how sound the guys were on the back end. But it's not just that. They were confusing him. They were throwing different looks at him that either he hadn't seen or wasn't prepared for, or they disguised it well enough and held it long enough for him to have nowhere to go with the football.
Nowhere to go.
And Sam, not just, let's expand on the red zone part of it, because what are the other key plays? Third downs, right? Third and fourth downs. Ohio State was 5 for 16 on third down, and I think they had 3 of those in the first half, and they were 0 for 1 on fourth down. So the red zone plays making stops, they were calling them on TV, the 4-point plays or whatever. I don't know. Joe Klatt might have gotten one thing right, but he was the red zone defense and the third down stops. The defense was really good, and that's why I said Jesse Minter, because there's so many guys. You brought up Braden McGregor earlier with with some huge plays. Mikey St. Russell with big plays. Like, you can go down the list. Mozzie Smith made some big plays. I don't know if I can single one guy out. I figured I'd name the coordinator and we would just talk about everybody.
So I'll say now, I remember talking to Steve Clinkscale in the summer. I can tell this story now. In the summer, Steve Klink told me, he said, "Hey man, we're not gonna lose much going from Dax to Mikey." I was like, "Man, get out of here with that." I mean, look, we aren't even talking in an interview right now. You don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to give me the coach speak. He's like, "No, this dude is making plays in practice where we aren't going to lose anything in coverage." Now, you know, Dax is an otherworldly athlete when it comes to a box player. But we saw Mikey come up. He'll stick his nose in there. So, you know, he has the tenacity. He's going to stick his nose in there to make a tackle, but in coverage. And the big PBU in the red zone, outstanding stuff. And to your point, Ira, I thought Mikey was the defensive player of the game, but this was a coming out party for Braden McGregor. No question about it. The guy, if you see him standing next to Aiden, you think they're twins. They are the spitting image of one another, size-wise, in the face, hair color, background. Both are lacrosse, tight end, basketball players. There's so many similarities. And today, he looked like a young Aiden Hutchinson. He didn't look like a veteran Aiden Hutchinson. He looked like a young Aiden Hutchinson today. And think about that. Mike Morris going out, and you're able to replace him like that. I'm going to say something that Michigan, everything that I said, I think Michigan fans liked a lot. I'm going to say something you aren't going to like. Enjoy Jesse Minter while you can.
Yeah, he's not going to be very long.
Yeah,
enjoy Jesse Minter while you can.
He's not going to be very long.
Well, I'll give a shout out to Coach Herb, Ben Herbert, the strength and conditioning coach, and fans know about him. Dude is unbelievable. They showed it today, Sam. And, you know, so he's my unsung hero.
No doubt.
We don't talk about it. They're pushing people around, and you see this.
There's an added reason, not just great scheming and great adjustments and all that stuff. There's another reason why Michigan is dominating second halves of football games.
So one thing Fox did was the fan shots and the sideline shots of the bewilderment of the Buckeyes, and that comes down to you got overwhelmed. and you didn't expect this.
Brandon
You got
said,
vanquished.
I wish he lost because it was raining during the Bama Auburn game. All right, guys, we got one more segment to go. It's been so much fun, but we do have to kind of wrap things up because Michigan hockey is about to get underway, and we're kind of late for pregame coverage. But we do have one more segment to get to, and we'll get to that as well. Plus, Michigan women's basketball tips off on WLBY. We've got a lot to get to. We got to get Ms. down the hall, a lot to get to. So we're going to wrap things up on the other side here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, the ticket.
Clear on radio.
I could tell you.
Yeah, I forgot.
This was a great move by Jim. Think about that.
Yeah, I know.
For Jim to go higher continuity. I remember when Jesse Manor did his interview, and the guys were like, because they interviewed a couple guys. He was like, man, this dude he's brilliant. But what made it better was that he's coming in, he's not changing anything. Dude. So Jim hiring continuity couldn't have gone any better. This is how you draw it up, right?
So what you're saying is that as we just move forward, just keep the stable ready, John.
Yeah,
keep the stable ready, John. We'll need another one at some point. Hopefully not yet, but at some point we will need another one.
You hire someone in the family. I mean, ideally, maybe it comes from on staff now, or you have someone else in the tree, but it couldn't have worked out any better than the way it did with Mentor. This is
which is what we needed to do to turn the tables, but you got to give credit to Sharon and the offensive guy. I mean, are you kidding me?
I just one more real on the DC thing, Sam.
Yeah.
If and when the time eventually comes, hopefully it's not until next year or beyond, right? One piece of advice: don't go to the Big 12.
What makes you think that's gonna work,
dude?
What makes you think that's gonna work?
You want to talk about the worst case scenario for like Ryan Day? Okay, we got this. Okay, it's going all right. It's going all right. No, it's not.
They were really like they thought that they had it at halftime.
It's the worst outcome.
They really thought,
it was the worst way that could have played out.
They really thought they had it at halftime. That Michigan, if it wasn't for those two Cornelius Johnson plays, those two CJ plays, they're like, oh, those two plays, we don't give those up. We're up big. That's what they're thinking at halftime. We're dominating. We own this game. I don't think they made any adjustments other than less guys in the box. They don't have the cover zero, and then we ran on them.
By the way, threw CJ down. He fumbled. They blew it dead. It could have been worse.
That was some bull, man.
Yeah, it was bull. But you know what? So they got nothing to say. Over 3 touchdowns. Oh, that was the worst that could have gone, is to get overwhelmed in the second half in your own house. Man. What are your 247 guys saying in Columbus and stuff?
They said it was amazing. It was amazing that you can shut an entire town up in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, the women will be on 1290 WLBY and on Flow Sports if you have a login for that.
That was the worst way that could go for Ohio. Really.
The hockey game starts in
short
about 8 minutes here on
Sports.
Hold on,
I'm putting the sign up. Hold on, Miz. Hold it up.
What is
Michigan Women's Hoops starting at 7:15. If they win, they'll probably play Baylor tomorrow night, and that's going to be a really good game. Queens of Chrysler.
Nice.
Let's keep the winning going.
Yeah,
it's a pretty great day. I got to go through all the scoreboard,
all
the scores for the day because I haven't seen half the scores of the day.
I want to let all of you guys know. So the show goes back on the road. We'll be in Indianapolis doing our pregame show from the Slippery Noodle, and it was unbelievable.
We're going there at 4 p.m.
We've had a lot of great times.
Place was off the hook.
The place fills in quick.
It was unbelievable. The line to get in was around the corner.
Yeah, last year we chased a few Iowa fans that were in there away. Purdue fans will learn the lesson very quickly. And they probably know the noodle pretty well, Purdue, because they're local, obviously, but they're going to get run out of the noodle.
When you guys walked up, you would have thought the Beatles came.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Sam did get a very rousing ovation when he walked in. All right, about 20 seconds or so till we're back on the radio. Yeah. What a phenomenal day. Just a phenomenal day.
Oh, God, what a beat down.
Yeah. Ass whooping never been so good. Whew.
That was it is historic.
Here we go. All right, stand by, guys. Some tequila shots are better than others. And the one that I get when I get home tonight is going to be extra stupendous following that one today. Sam, what you don't know on this show, this is a little tradition we do on the last segment, especially after victories, but really after every game, because if you lose, you need to drink your sorrows away. We've had a lot of those. We've not had very many shows like this one. We're going to enjoy this one a lot for the rest of the night. And in fact, we're going to celebrate it pretty much all week long. But that is going to do it for this edition of the Retirement Income Solutions Locker Room Wrap-Up Show on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA The Ticket. The final score of the game from the Toilet Bowl in Columbus, Michigan 45, Ohio State 23. Parting shot, Sam Webb.
Yeah, so I want to let you guys know, got word from 24/7 Sports, the Black Friday sale is back on. 75% off an annual subscription to commemorate the big victory. Don't miss out wall-to-wall coverage.
I'll give you
Football,
45 to 23 reasons why you should get that subscription.
Absolutely. And Michigan just picked up a commitment tonight.
We'll talk about it Monday.
You just saw the ingredients, the last ingredient to a national championship emerge tonight.
Greg Dooley, final shot.
Validation. Tables turned. Historic. What else can I say? Nothing else could be better. It's the best.
Thanks to everyone who helped out today, especially our guy Miz, our game day MVP on the other side of the glass. Thanks to Sam's team down in Columbus from the MichiganInsider.com. Thanks to Sam, Steve, Greg Dooley, Joe Simon, everybody that hung out today. We've had an amazing day. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., it's Miz and the crew on the playground starting championship week. Then on Monday, it's Michigan Monday on the Michigan Insider. Joe Simon's final verdict. The monster moment of the game with Monster Cheese Service. Will Heinegger, the mayor of Michigan Twitter, Scott Bell, Monday morning quarterback Devin Gardner, and more as we get you ready for the Big Ten championship game. And we will be down in Indianapolis live at the Slippery Noodle next Saturday at 4 p.m. with the Key Bank Countdown at kickoff. And then at 8 p.m., it's Michigan versus Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. Michigan looking for its second straight Big Ten title and its second straight trip to the college football playoff. It's going to be a fun week, guys. Once again, the final score of the game was Michigan 45, Ohio State 23. Enjoy the rest of your football weekend. See you on the radio Monday morning. And as always, go Blue!
We just scored again.